And so it is. Greetings, my beloved. I am Ekara, sovereign servant of free energy. And by free energy I mean, of course, the universal laws of love, universal laws of joy, and the universal laws of truth and freedom. I have come here today as the first one to enter into your energy, your Imzaia energy, your Imzaia consciousness as well. Although I must say, it was pretty difficult for me to come in first. There were others trying to sneak their way in. Others, such as my good friend and brother Adamus, and of course Kuthumi, who is also preparing to speak in the coming days, in the coming hours. It's strange for me to be here in this fashion, to see all of you sitting here in separate bodies, separate identities, separate aspects, that you are naming yourselves human is a joke in itself. That you should name yourselves Lemurian is also a joke in itself. You are nothing else but the energy of all that is. The I am energy. Beyond energy, in fact. You are that you are. And it is our privilege, mine and that of all my friends, to speak to you here on behalf of the planet, the cosmos, the universe itself, and obviously on behalf of all your hearts. Your heart energy, my beloved, is beyond anything that you can imagine. And it is our mission here today and in the coming days to activate that love energy, that power that comes from within and that can't be stopped by anything. Not by laws, not by boundaries, not by governments, not by those who would seek to bring you down. Yes, this can happen for several hundred years, but after that, the energy always shifts. You grow tired of being stuck within definition, within boundaries. If you could see your energy right now, the way I'm seeing it, I want to tell you about this. You would see, how to say, you would see a container, a linear container, containing so much energy that's just ready to burst out, ready to explode, ready to come out, ready to become that which you have always been. And that is where all the drama comes from these last few years in your life, all the sickness, the disease, the pain, the suffering. You call it transformation. You then say, I've been going through a heavy transformation. Well, yes, this used to be right. A little while ago, you were transforming, you were going through the portals, you were trying to become that which you are now, today, here. But these last few weeks, everything has changed. And you know it, everything. If you look at yourselves, and I know you from a point in time that you would call the future, where I already exist in a free earth. But if you were to look at yourselves, you would see that all these things that have been happening to you are nothing more but the result of you postponing what you already know that you are becoming. Because the transformation is over. All of of that is gone now. It's no longer necessary to put yourself in bodies and to see yourself as limited. It's no longer necessary. It has never been necessary. But especially these last few weeks and the weeks that are ahead, do remember that you are no longer the humans that you once thought that you were. You have noticed. You have noticed the little differences in your body and in your face. Everybody here, I am sure, has looked at him or herself in the mirror in the last few weeks and seen the changes. You've seen them. You've seen yourselves grow younger. But you have never wanted to believe it. Most of you. You have seen yourselves as the hologram that you are becoming. And you know, deep down, you know that you can shift. You know that you can change. You know that you can do all of these things. And you are afraid. You are afraid. You are afraid of your power. So very afraid. A beautiful, beautiful love energy by the name of Nelson Mandela, and it has been said by others as well, has said at a certain point in history, you are not afraid of not succeeding. You are afraid that if you really put yourself out there, that you will succeed better than you even expected. And then where do you get all your drama from? Then where do you get all your problems from? You are, in a way, without being insulting, turning into, well, let's just say, there's a little schizophrenic nature coming upon you in the last few weeks, because at one hand, you look at yourselves and you see a person, you see a human, you see a name, you see identities, you see personality, you see all the parameters that you have defined yourselves with in the past. And on the other hand, you see this angelic self, this master energy. You see that nothing that you would ever do can ever go wrong. But you don't trust it yet. You don't trust it. And to me, of course, this is very funny indeed. Because I know all of you. We know each other, you and I. I have said so on so many an occasion. But we know each other. We know each other from that point in space and time that you call the future. I am speaking to you now from that which you would call the Cosmic Council of 12, which resides on the free planet Earth, in the New Lemuria, if that is a name that you would like to use. Now, the fascinating thing about this council is that it is not just held in one place. It is held in all the power spaces that you have on this planet. That which you once called a vortex, that which you sometimes call a portal. You know all the spaces. We can talk about Machu Picchu, for instance. We can talk about Glastonbury. We can talk about Mount Shasta. We can talk about Hawaii. We even can talk about Den Helder, where you, the bright eyes, the bright ones, reside. All of you know all these spaces. And the interesting thing about the Cosmic Council is that it resides in all of these spaces at once. You know what that means? Do you really know what that means? That means that there are millions and millions of energies sitting in this council, coming together when the time is right, when the moment is right, coming together to open up new potentials for planet Earth. And of course, since we are not bound anymore by the illusion of time and space, that means that the potentials of Earth discussed within the Council find themselves sometimes throughout history, throughout time and space. This date, this year that you have gone through, 2007 I believe it is one of those moments in time and space that has been very important to our council in the last few moments that we have come together. Why? Because this is the threshold. This is the moment when humanity jumps. This is the moment when humanity learns how to fly. It is the moment when humanity no longer calls itself humanity. You call yourself mastery. You call yourselves divinity. It's time to start using these names. It's time to start looking at yourselves in this different light. It's really necessary. What good is it to call yourselves human when humanity has gone through so much suffering, so much pain? Just like your identity and your name is nothing but a facet of who you are, so is humanity. Humanity was nothing more than an experiment that you would go through. An experiment of separation. And I know that there has been much discussed about this. The great experiment. The great experiment of all the universes joined together. Well, it started about 50,000 years ago, you know. It started right about the time when I experienced my ascension. An ascension that in itself is nothing spectacular, nothing to write home about. It is something that is very, very natural. And that is why most of you don't realize you're having it. You're having ascension symptoms and you don't even realize they're there. You just tuck them away and you say it's a headache, or you say it's just cramps. You say it's a backache. Or you say it's a problem in your lives, or you say it's a fatal disease. Well, screw that. There's nothing fatal about divinity. There's nothing fatal about finally reclaiming 144 strands of DNA. There's nothing fatal about letting go of all your bodily illusions. Nothing at all. That is why we now have come together. Because all of you here, all of you that are here right now, will eventually end up in this cosmic council. You will take up your position. You will eventually find that you have always been the one to take this space. And that no one here, including myself, is more special than the other. Oh, Imzaia, as I am speaking to you now, I feel what is happening to all of you. I feel it in my throat. In fact, it's very difficult to speak. Why? Because you don't want to hear the things that I'm saying. You don't. You have heard them time and time and time again. So many times. And none of you actually have dared to step into that mastery. And this pains me. It pains me to see that so many masters have forgotten who they are. That so many masters have the chance every single moment, every single day to claim their power, to claim their energy. And you don't. What is keeping you? What is keeping you? We're waiting to party with you. We are waiting to join, to become one again. We are waiting to step into you as you are stepping into us. For there is no difference. And with that, my beloved, let this finish the introduction. As this introduction was brought to you, it is necessary to claim your power in the coming moments. If you don't, you will notice I can no longer contain this body. There is something here that is preventing me from speaking. Something here that is preventing me to speak out. And it is something that has always held you back as well. That has prevented you from speaking. That has prevented you from stepping into it. From becoming that which you know you are. This messenger, if he were aware right now, and we have made sure that he isn't, would find this moment very, very uncomfortable. Because he knows what this throat thing is all about. You all know. Don't you feel it? Don't you feel those moments when you want to speak out? Don't you feel those moments when you want to speak up? When you want to stand up and raise your voice and say, I am that I am? Well, do you hear what it sounds like? If you can't, do you feel what it sounds like? If you can't. To come here for us is a gift, for it allows us to speak very directly to you, to communicate very directly to you. Still it is difficult. Still it is difficult, beloved ones. Because I can do nothing but reflect you, you see. I hope that as the days progress, that you will find your voice. I hope that you will find your heart. I hope that you will find your power and that you will find your energy like you've never seen it reflected back to you before. And I and all the others are not going to do this for you. You are going to do it for you. And you are going to do it for all the others. So, you think it's strange to see an energy such as this one sit here, having problem after problem with a voice? No. It is no different than your voice. It is no different than what you are going through every single day. No. If you are not in a state of mastery, once you go through this, the first thing that you would do is shut up. The first thing that you would do is not speak anymore, because the moment that you tried to speak, you were hurt, or you were shamed, you were put in your place, and you would stop speaking. What does a master energy do at that moment? Change the energy. You change the energy around you. You change the energy inside of you. All of it. You know what I mean? Do you? Well, then why don't you do it? Why don't you? Let me ask you, who here doesn't know what to do with himself or herself in the new energy? Who here hasn't had a dream that you wanted to realize, that you wanted to do for this planet Earth? Who here doesn't know a better way to live? Who here doesn't know how to do it. None of you, in fact. Even if you think you don't, you do. You do. You are a healer, lady. You are a healer not with words, but with your heart and with your hands. So now you know. Everybody here knows what it's like to choose again. To go for that which has brought you to the planet in the first place. Now, who here feels that they have acted upon this fully and completely? Who here feels that they've done everything in their power to make this happen? Everything. Well, no hands are raised. Interesting. Let's then go on and find the reason that you were born, Imzaia. Were you born to be small? Were you born to grow old? Were you born to live your lives without any meaning attached to them? Just so that you could do what is expected of you, and then to be sucked dry completely, to grow old, and to finally die and go through the entire reincarnation process yet again. A very good energetic friend of mine that resides in a body right now, the body of Ekara, basically Buddha energy, has once written down the following sentence. What point is there in reincarnation if in your next life you still don't know what to do with yourself? Well, he says it a little drier. But what point is there? Do you really want to go through all of this again? I can look at all of your energies right now, and I can see two things. One, you're tired of it, and two, still there are things holding you back. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be a career, it could be fear, it could be your children, it could be what the neighbors might say, it could be what your parents might say, or it could just be fear of failure. And then again I ask you, is this really the reason why you were born? Not to fully manifest yourselves, not to fully go through all of these things that you know you have to go through. Not to be that human angel that comes to the planet, not because he or she has karma to resolve, but because you are here to help. And you are. So, please, Imzaia, would you kindly stop being afraid that things are not going to work out when you finally do the things that you've dreamt of doing? When you finally do get up, speak up, stand up, and when you finally say, I am the one. I am the one that's going to put this energy into matter, and I am going to do it no matter what. You are as good as any master that you would like to listen to. Adamus is going to come in just a few moments once he finally gets out of the bathroom. He's had a party yesterday, he's been drinking. You know, we don't like to share it, but there's always one in the family, you know. But once he finally gets out of the bathroom, he's going to come on over. And he's going to let you know that he was once in the position where you are sitting now. The same goes for Kudumi. The same goes for Tobias. The same goes for Matthias. The same goes for all of the others. You know, these days, you have these decks of cards. Pick your master, you know, the master of the day. Like a wheel of fortune of ascended masters. It's funny that. But, don't you know that you also belong there? Don't you know that we come in here with the greatest of respect for you, all of you? Don't you know that we are in awe when we have to enter a room such as this one, because we see all of the potential. That's the only difference between someone like you and someone like me, you see. I have the benefit of seeing all of these potentials that are swirling and twirling around you. But I'm not the one that inhabits a body in the same way that you do. I'm not the one. You are the ones making the potentials real. And that is why we are in awe of you. You came in here thinking you were small. Thinking that one day the system or the bad guys or whatever is gonna get you. And that you will be brought down. You won't be brought down. You will go on. Always. You better get used to sitting here in these bodies, because you will be here for a very long time. Not stuck. Not stuck. You will be able to do all of these things that you've dreamt of, that are written in your spiritual manuals and everything. But you will choose to continue being here on this planet. Maybe sometimes take a holiday, but you will always come back. And you will always manifest new potentials into reality. That is what you do. It's what you've always done. It's what the light workers do. It's what the Shambra do. It's what the Imzaia do. You have all been priests and monks and nuns and witches and what have you not. Yeah. Right on. You have all been this. And now you are free. Free of any name, any identity, any type of judgment. Except for the judgment that you put onto yourselves, you see. You could be free right now. You could go out into that street or into the town center here and shout out for all the world to hear that you are a light worker and you have energetic strength and power. And this time, they won't burn you for it. This time, they won't kill you for it. So please, my beloved Imzaia, would you finally get over it and do something? Would you finally get over the fear? Would you finally get over all of it and get into a place of power, into a place of action, and into a place of initiative? That is why you are here. I know I seem to be repeating myself. But I could be sitting here all day saying the same things over and over and over again, because maybe then, finally, you would grow so tired of all of us and you would finally get into that space of action. But let's get on with it. I think I have made a point. And maybe if these days go the way they are expected to go, you will go home differently. You will go home changed. So then, now with the introduction finally over, let's bring in the circle. Let's bring in the sovereign circle of support. It's made up of all these master energies, every one that you could possibly think of. And it's made up of all of you. all of you sitting here. Some would call it an entourage. I call it a circle of support. This is your guidance. This is your angelic group, consisting of nothing else, basically, than your own energy. Do you think that your energy truly only belongs to you? It doesn't. You run through all the blood on the planet. And all the blood on the planet runs through you. All of it. Your energy is linked to all other life in such a way that it's even difficult to describe in a three-dimensional context. It has to do with the DNA. It has to do with the way your DNA is interdimensionally linked. In fact, you are closer to all these people here around you than you could ever imagine. So there's no point in being afraid. There's no point in shying away and not showing yourselves completely. You know, if you are really going to do this, if you are really going to step into all of this, just remember one thing: you are going to be seen. And so you better learn how to look at yourselves and to love yourself. And I don't mean that you are going to be seen from an ego point of view. You're not going to be a rock star. Well, maybe James over there, but most of you won't be a rock star. Most of you will be seen by those people that need to see you, because you will change their lives. Because of who you are and who you dare to be, they will know what their potentials are, what they can be. And that doesn't mean that you have to open up yet another spiritual practice where you do healing or where you do channeling or all of these other things. These things are going to go away anyway. I know that most of my friends have been saying this for 10 years, that channeling is going to change and that healing is going to change. Well, the moment is finally, almost at least, upon us. Adamus himself, Mr. Saint Germain himself, has said that at the beginning of 2008, January 28th, 2008, this entire concept is going to change in such a way that it's difficult for us right now to explain to you. The biggest change that there will be is that there won't be things like this, where groups come together to listen to one person sitting in front. It's not going to work that way anymore. Like Adamus said, you better learn how to drive by January 28th, but that's when you get the driving wheel just stuck in your hands. You're going to have to drive yourselves. You're going to have to go through the information. You're going to have to find everything out. And as this is happening, some of us, myself included, are preparing, some of you, as you know, preparing some of you to step into this new role. But it's going to be different. It's going to be about direct interaction beyond any type of illusion. And as you know, the second big illusion, the second grand illusion, is the illusion of exchange. Like I am exchanging information with you right now through words. You can also do it through healing. You can do it through so many things. It is an illusion of exchange. For the only one you are ever healing is yourself. The only one you are ever listening to is yourself. So it will become a much different process than the one that you are used to. It will be a direct manifestation. You have gotten used to seeing all of us here entering into bodies such as this one. That is also going to go. Why would we enter into bodies if we have the ability to manifest directly in front of you? It's very simple. Because you would go into shock. And most of you, although they would be so happy, they say, to see someone appear in front of them, most of you would probably go into a coma. I'm serious. And you know why? Because the brain can't handle it, you see. The brain is programmed and trained to look at life from the point of linear time and linear space. That means that if someone stands in front of you, you better have seen him come. Well, it is. It is. Imagine, just imagine what would happen to your brain. I don't mean to your consciousness, to your brain. It would go into neural shock because something would manifest in front of it that it cannot explain. It happens with the littlest of things, you see. If you just look at most people's reactions to, say, a spider, why do people freak out about a spider? It's very simple. Because a spider has the ability to move faster than the human brain can register. You see? So what happens when you suddenly see a spider creep up on you? It's very simple. You have a small epileptic shock happen to your brain. If that shock were bigger, you would go into a coma. You are not trained. Your brain is not trained, and your senses are not trained to see these things. Some of you are. Some of you are, yes. Those are the pioneers. Those are the gatekeepers, opening and keeping the gate open for others to come through at a later point. But most of you, and especially those out there in the supposed real world, get real, are people that are totally untrained to go through experiences such as this one. Now, as Adamus has also told you, he has a tendency to speak a lot, as he has also told you, the universal manifest that we have been using to exchange information to all of you in the last year is nearly complete. This means that the next message to come in a very short while, brought to you by Adamus, and then the message after that, which is also going to be today, brought to you by Kuthumi, are the last two occasions before the very end that these two masters will speak on behalf of the Universal Manifest. After those times, there are going to be 6 opportunities when I will come in, Ekara, and bring you through illusion. As you know, there are 6 grand illusions. So that means there are 6 opportunities to finally bring together everything that at first the Cosmic 12 and then the Cosmic Council of 12, represented by, among others, myself, can bring you beyond the body. Finally. I know that some of you that are not even here right now, but that are used to listening to these messages online, have grown tired of listening to them because they feel that not much has changed in their lives. They were promised so much, they say, and they have received so little. Well, dear human, to all of you listening right now, out there, I would like to let you know, thank you for your patience. Thank you for going through this process, which was but a year out of your life, that has allowed you to bring in all of this energy. You see, when you do something in a multi-dimensional framework, you don't take little steps. It's very simple, multi-dimensionality. First you build up to something and then you do it. It's that simple. Here on Earth, in 3D as you call it, once you build up to something, you have to build up the courage to do something, and when you do finally go into action, it can take you a lot of steps and a lot of mistakes and a lot of pain and a lot of doubt before you finally get somewhere in the vicinity where you wanted to be. Multidimensional existence works differently. You build up the energy and then you climax it. You activate it all at once. It's like the Big Bang. It's like the birth of a star. It's a gathering, a manifesting, a blending of energy, all coming together until the final boom. You have been building up to the final boom. That's not going to be the name of our last channeling, the final boom. But then again, you have been building up to this. You have gathered information. Some of you don't even see how all of it blends together. And you know why? Because you have been looking at one space. The same goes for the Shambra, the same goes for the light worker, the same goes for the Buddhist, the same goes for the Christian, the same goes for any other type of spiritual belief system. The only way to make it all work is to bring it all together. As Adamus has said last time, there is no crossing this bridge until all of us cross together. All of you. And us. Everything. No one is going to be left behind. We will not have a repeat of Atlantis. We all know that didn't work out. So that's not what we want. Everybody at the same time is going to cross this bridge. But yes, in the universal manifest that you have been listening to, there are missing pieces of the puzzle. Just like there are missing pieces of your DNA puzzle. Now, where do you think the missing pieces might be? Like Saint Madonna would sing, they're all around you. They're all around you. You are each other's missing pieces. You are each other's keys to activate the final stages of your DNA expansion. You can't do it alone. You simply can't. So everybody who has been trying to do it alone, well, they must have had a bitch of a time. Just like one brick can't be a house. You need all bricks to be a house. One leaf can't be a tree. Just can't. One flower can't be a bush, and one bush can't be a flower. That was a joke right there. I will leave the jokes to Kadumi. It can't. One set of DNA does not divinity make. Shakespeare might have written if he knew about DNA. It doesn't. Your DNA is worthless without linking it up to all the other DNA strings that are in your body, in everybody's body. That is what multi-dimensional DNA is all about. That is what total unity is all about. It's about an interconnectedness that allows you to say I and mean all that is. That's what we do. That's why we, I and all the others, know you so very well. Because I am in your DNA. Damn it. I've always been there. God has always been there. And all you do, most of you on this earth, when you go to sleep at night or when you have a problem, is you put your hands together and you look up and you say, oh God, where art thou? And we're screaming, right in here, human. Won't you look? Won't you feel us? Right here. Right here. Where we've always been. Just like each and everybody around you has always been right here in the heart. In the heart. In the body. In the DNA. And it doesn't stop there. It goes way beyond that, human. Master. All of the stars, all of the animals, all of the plants, everything that is within all that is within the cosmos, is there, right inside of you. I know that you have never really understood that concept. I know. I know that you can grasp it with your mind and that you can try to understand it with your akene or with your nost or with your consciousness. I know that you try. But how on Earth or on any other planet could you understand that the size of a star, which would be about 1 billion times bigger than you are in a physical body, could fit within that physical body? That is because you carry within you all dimension. And you carry within you the potential pathways to every other space that exists. So, now you know, the missing pieces are sitting all around you. And the illusion of separation, which is the last one that we'll work through, is what is keeping you here. Because science today, the earth today, society today would have you believe that you are all separate and you are all individuals and that you are unique and that your uniqueness should be celebrated. Yes, you are unique, but in a much different way than society wants you to believe. You are not unique because you have a preference for white chocolate over black chocolate. You are not unique because you prefer one shape or thing or form over another. But that is what society is doing to you. Have you noticed? Have you noticed how globalization has struck your planet in one big move in the course of the last 2 years, and how now you are all in a computer system somewhere with all your preferences noted down. You can't even log in onto a website anymore without being greeted with your own name and without you having to fix some set of preferences before you can actually use that website almost. Same goes for a store. And it's going to get worse. It is. Once the supposed chipping technology, the very chip, whatever you want to call it, is going to enter into society, and this is happening already, then your preferences are going to be even more specified. You see it in your advertising all around you. What's your flavor? What's your pleasure? How can we be of assistance? In other words, how can we keep you satisfied so you keep your mouth shut? I have had a life in Texas. How are you going to do that? That is what I am asking you. Are you going to be able to resist all of this temptation? I'm not talking about the temptation that the churches are talking about. I'm not saying that you can sin. I'm not saying that you can do anything wrong. I'm just saying, are you going to be tempted to move away from you? Or are you going to stay right here in the center of you? In other words, are you going to be the void, as Adamus once again would say, or are you going to be that source, that sun? Are you going to be the one who is creating your reality? Or are you going to let it happen for you? And as you now know that there are missing pieces of your DNA all around you, you also know why you are being kept in a separation mode. Why all of these illusions are around you. The illusion of shape, the illusion of exchange, the illusion of time and space and death, and of course separation. They are just there so that you wouldn't unite. Oh, you have methods of uniting on this planet. You call it sexuality. Sometimes you call it friendships. Sometimes you call it families. But don't you see? Don't you see? These are all... I'm going to be polite here. These are all things that are still separate from a bigger whole. You are taught that if you can keep your families together, that you're doing a good job. Well, I'm sorry, but you're not. You're not. All you're keeping together is 4 to 5 humans max. That's it. And then your family is safe. Hooray! Yes. Then your family is safe. Oh, I know that some of you don't like listening to this right now. I know that some of you have difficulty trying to grasp this, but can you see that your children are no more your children than someone else's children are your children? That your partner is everybody's partner. That you are everybody's partner. That your parents are no more your parents than your grandparents are your parents. It's all one. You know, in Lemuria, and I know this is going to come again because I am speaking from a point of view in the future. In Lemuria, if you had a child well, that concept didn't really exist, but if you had a new energy born out of yours, sometimes that would be 5 people or more, then this would not be a child that is singular to you. It would be a child of Lemuria, a child of man. I am just a child of man, you would then say. I am just a child of all that is. You see? And now you are being trained to have more love for your own children than anybody else's children. And if you were to choose your children above anyone else's, I'm sorry, but with all your spirituality in yourself, you would do it. You would choose yours above anyone else. In the moment, the mind will take over. Don't delude yourselves. I know that you have come a very long way, but in the moment, the mind would take over, and you would say, this is my blood, this is my body, and it is more important than others. Now, of course, there are communities, or even family connections that go beyond the family, I know, but then still, it is limited. Still, it is conditional. It's always conditional. And that is something, the reason why you have all these missing pieces. I'm telling you, you're going to have to find a way to love everybody as equals. Everybody. As I was telling someone just the other day, one of the methods of letting go of the illusion of form or shape is learning that you have no partner except for yourself. That you have no love except for yourself. And that from that space, a love bigger than you've ever seen or imagined is born, spreading itself throughout the planet, throughout the cosmos, throughout all that is. And how? If you want to know on a scientific level, it's happening again through the DNA. These 144 strands that you have, only 2 active. More than 88 of those actually connect you to all other life in the world, in the cosmos, in the universe. All of it. And the only way to activate those again is to step beyond illusion. Now, these days, these 3 days that we are together, we are going to go all of these illusions one at a time. You must understand that I have never really existed in the timeline that you are in right now, so I am not quite familiar in practice with all of the illusions that you have gone through. I have actually only recently embedded myself in your timeline so as to help humanity discontinue all the other timelines that would keep you away from the free planet Earth. So I am basically a newborn into all of this illusion, but I understand something. The timeline that I originate from has one similar problem to yours. It's called the mind. The mind. That thing, that computer, that problem you have in your brain, in your head. In my evolution, the mind didn't lead to illusion, it didn't lead to separation, it led to other things altogether, but all of them equally as unpleasant, I can tell you. But I know how the mind works. And that is why I will be the one in the coming days to bring you the theoretical information. While there are some masters, such as Adamus, Saint Germain, and Kutumi, and Tobias, who will come in, also in the coming days, to bring you the practical story, to bring you escape methods, for you see they have already done so. They can show you the way out. The Universal Manifest, in this case, because I'm speaking to Imzaia right now, is a beginning. All the series that the Shambra have gone through is a beginning. All the channelings that those listening to Cryon, those listening to Ramtha, those listening to the group have gone through are beginnings. We have always said that the last 4 chapters of this Universal Manifest would be called the merging, the final activation. Actually, I wasn't the one who said it. It was that race that you know as the Ascensions. It's a long time ago, it seems, in your experience, in your history. It's only been this year, however, but it seems like a long time ago. They spoke to you about the merging. What you thought would be the merging was the coming together of all the pieces of the Universal Manifest. But I'm telling you now that the merging is the blending of all spiritual energy, all new energy on the planet. All of it. How could there be another way? You must have felt it. How could there be another way? So take the energy of the Universal Manifest. Take the energy of everything else that you have experienced, have been taught, or have learned. Merge it all together in one nice mix. And then you will find the keys, you see. The keys that will open up your DNA so that it can interlock, interlink, intermingle with all other DNA on the planet. That's what is in store come January 28th. So if you don't work through these illusions right now, you're gonna hit them real hard with your head. You don't want to go through that, I can tell you. Well, most of you here won't go through that. Again, because you are the ones that are ready to make a change in your life. I'm not just talking about the ones sitting here. I'm talking about such a big group on this planet. But I can tell you that this new energy, this free energy that's going to come in, might separate you for a while from the rest of humanity. You see, timelines are a special thing. You experience them as linear, but they aren't all that linear to begin with. You don't want to know how many loops this timeline alone has already had. How many times you have come as a race to the brink of extinction. And all of a sudden, remember, there was a solution. All of a sudden the Berlin Wall fell. All of a sudden the war would stop. All of a sudden things would change. And this has happened on a earth level, And it has happened on a personal level. That all of a sudden your life looked like crap. And all of a sudden it was different. There was a ray of light. There was something changed within you or around you. Your reality is constantly making loops. Constantly. And that is because you will not accept defeat this time. You will not accept it. And you know about time, and you know about space. Deep down you do. So deep down you keep shifting things so that you could stay here and make happen what you need to make happen. But Ekara, what about all of those others who leave the planet, all of those who have died, all of those who have gone? Yes, sometimes it was seen that some would benefit better helping this earth as a guiding energy, not incorporate, not incarnate, much like myself, much like most of us. But I can guarantee you one thing, all of them who have gone, all of them who have crossed over, they're still working for Earth. And they're still working with Earth. All of them. Most of them that you have known are here in this room right now. They don't carry their names. They don't carry their identity. You won't suddenly hear the voice of that person who has gone. You won't hear that tone, that special familiar tone of voice that you have gotten to know so well. Because that's gone, you see. That's over and done with. That is something that is an illusion. Just like your bodies are illusion. Basically, these bodies of yours are like one big Las Vegas. All based on illusion and gambling. Am I gonna make it? Yes or no? Rien ne va plus. Want another card? Oops, you're out. That's the way you've been treating your bodies. All of that is unimportant. The color of your hair is unimportant. The color of your skin is unimportant. The weight that you carry is unimportant. The size that you have is unimportant. What you have done in the past is unimportant. The things that you hate most about yourselves are unimportant. The things that you are most afraid will come to the surface because you feel so guilty about them are unimportant. And believe me, in the coming days, you will be telling each other what you have been feeling guilty about. Did you hurt that animal? Did you hurt that dog? Did you slap that child? Did you do all of those things? Ah, well. Bad, bad human. It is illusion. Now, I am not saying that you should hurt each other and then say, oops, illusion. Can I kick you in the stomach? It's an illusion. No, no. That's just the mind playing with the illusion. Consciousness would never do that. The heart would never do that. The heart, consciousness, only wants to blend, only wants to unite. Whenever we in Lemuria used to connect to one another, and I'm not talking about sexuality because we didn't have sexuality the way you see it. Every time we would connect, we would unite, we would exchange frequencies, we would become one, going beyond the concept of you and I, we would become one. In that moment, we would become everything. Now, these days, ladies and gentlemen, you have this thing called sex. And you can be lucky if you have, what, 1,000 or 1,500 sexual encounters in your life. It's probably a lot, if you think about it. For most people, that's a lot. But do you really believe that this is the system that unification is based upon? That you get to unify with someone a limited number of times? You are an unlimited universal being. How can you have a limited set of unification moments? You are always becoming one. Always. That is your breath, you see. That is your breath. Breathing it all in and letting it all out. Now about your breath, Kusumi will have more to say about that. Because you see, the moment that he will open his mouth, he will take you through what he now calls the Akene revolution. You have probably seen it on the website because he was pushing all of you in the fellowship to put it on the website. But it's not about the revolution, it's about our evolution. All of our evolution. He will take you beyond the Akene that you have presently known, so that you can finally again become pregnant with all of humanity. That's what's going to happen in the coming days, so you better prepare for it. As the Akene, which has still been quite a theoretical concept up until this moment, will finally activate all of its power within you, you will see what will happen to your DNA. You will see that you become the star, that you become the source of light and the source of love. You will need a little bit more understanding about all of this, and that is why some of the others are going to talk you through that, so that you can experience it better than you have before. And in the end, you will walk away new, newborn, undefined, if you allow it to happen. These guarantees that we give, and that this messenger and she and all of the others would give, are only guarantees if you bring them into action. Because it's all about empowerment. It's all about you. The frustrating thing about this is probably going to be for some of you, that there are some of you here who have done 200 workshops in their lives, 200 seminars, going to all the books, reading all the stuff, doing all the exercises, and then some person just walks into the seminar for the very first time, and boom, activation sequence. That means that you have always had the potential to activate it at once. Always. From the very first moment you were born, having set foot on this planet. But you needed time, which is an illusion, to work through it. You needed time to stop that love affair with your mind. That love affair that you have with your thoughts. Oh, it's not a good love affair. Believe me, it's a loving, hating type of relationship. Can't live with him, can't live without him. If you're living with him, then you go crazy. If you live without him, then everybody around you goes crazy. That's the problem with thoughts. Right? So, this love affair, I want to sing.
You can.
I won't. Well, this love affair has never gone so well. So, it should stop. And how do all these love affairs that have never gone so well stop? It's when you finally see the person that is in front of you. So many people stay in relationships beaten up, especially women, but also men, that get beaten, that get hurt, that are in pain, that are diminished, and still they continue. Why? Because they don't love themselves enough to see that the one in front of them has nothing to do with love. Only with domination. Only with taking your power away. And because you don't feel that your power rightly belongs to you, because you don't feel special enough, you give it away, and you're happy that you found someone that can accept it, because you don't even see your power as having much value. Oh, you do it all the time. You do it all the time. If you don't do it in love relationships, you do it at your work. And you call that person a boss. And most of you hate your boss. But you give your power away to them anyway. Fascinating. That is what you do with your mind. Because you don't really see the mind for what it truly is, because it has been celebrated so much on this planet Earth. You take it for granted. You do. And as you do, you get used to it. And you can get used to anything. Because it's just a parameter repeating itself over and over and over again. Now, this series that is going to come right before the 6 Grand Illusion series that I am going to be presenting to you is called Pathways and Potentials, as you might have noticed, my beloved ones. Why? Because as some here will already know, if you allow the mind to choose potentials for you that are around you all the time, you have positive potentials which will bring you into an upward spiral, and you have negative potentials which will bring you into a downward spiral. If you allow the mind to choose these potentials for you, it will always choose those that will bring you down. And the cool thing about the mind is that it don't just do it for you, it lets you do it. You see? It just shows you the potentials. Look, human, this is what you are used to. Want to have more? And the beaten human says yes. Shame. Just says yes. He doesn't walk away. All you have to do is walk away and keep on walking. Never looking back. Never. All of your life has been a test for you. It has been an illusion. All of it. So, let's summarize this a little bit, because I know Adamus wants to get in it with you. I just had to come here to prepare all of you so that you're allowing this process to happen. So, I'm just, I don't know, how do you call this on Earth? An introducer? Something like that? Yes, thank you. An introduction. But, if the mind shows you concept after concept after concept, filled with negative potentials, without you knowing that you can choose a different set of potentials. Then what happens is that that part of the mind which is one, just like consciousness is one, you don't have a mind each onto your own. Everybody has a connection to the one mind. You don't have a mind, and she doesn't have a mind, and he doesn't have a mind. You all have one mind. Just like you all have one akene, you all have one consciousness, and much like that movie that you call The Matrix, you are just tapped into it. So the mind, which is not part of your energy, gives you this set of negative potentials. And you accept them with that part of the mind that you call the ego. The ego is based on what you would call emotion, what you would call pain. Oh, Ekara, get on with it. We know all of this. Get on with it. No, you don't know all of this. Back to square one. The mind feeds you negative potentials. Remember that. It feeds you negative potentials. It has no other option but to feed you negative potentials. Could someone write this down? Okay. Negative potentials. And as such, negative potentials are drawn to emotion and pain. Emotion is not feeling. Emotion is when you feel a lack and you want that void filled. That's an emotion. A feeling is when you feel abundance and you want to express that abundance onto others. That's the difference between universal joy and conditional joy. Conditional joy would be when you have been waiting for a movie to come out for a very long time, or a blind date that needs to happen, and all of a sudden it's there, and you get all jittery, you get all happy. You say, I'm happy, I feel good. Why? Because there is a void inside of you that's going to be filled for a while. That's a hype. That's an emotion. At least a conditional one. A universal emotion, a universal one, is called a feeling. And it's based on universal joy. Universal joy happens when you are so filled up with love. When you are so connected to everything, when you are so beyond illusion, that all you can do is beam it out of you. And that's when you want to start giving joy unto others, instead of wanting to receive it. That's what universal joy and universal love is all about. If you are this master energy, then you know that you are filled to the brim, if you would have a brim, with love and joy and freedom and truth, so much that no one could ever give you what you want, because you don't need anything. See? And then all you want to do is use that source that you are to give unto others. And as you give from your totality to someone else, that someone else will flow over as well and give back to you. Now that's the simplest way that I can talk about exchanging frequencies with one another. And this is how it was done in Lemuria. You see, you are filled to the brim. And when you give a little bit of yourself to someone else, that someone else will, in all of his or her abundance, flow over himself and give back part of him, herself to you. That's also the way that your interdimensional DNA is connected. Cool, huh? Well, I think it's cool. All the kids are doing it. Maybe you should start doing it too. Train yourselves here the coming days. You have the opportunity like you've never had it before. Why not now? Why not now? What are you waiting for? What fear still lies within you, waiting to come out, waiting to show its ugly little head? What fear? So many fears, it seems. But anyway, as you learn that the mind only feeds these negative potentials to you, you will learn that it can never touch you, ever. It is the ego inside of you, which is the representative of the mind, much in the same way as the akene is the representative of consciousness. You see, of awareness even. It is the ego that greedily and happily accepts those potentials, the decorum that the mind creates around you, and accepts them, takes them, says, this thought is my thought. It's me. I'm taking this. I'm claiming this. Much like countries back then, years ago, would find undiscovered country and claim it with their flag. That's what the mind does. That's what the ego does when a thought comes in. This is mine. Boy, is it gonna hurt. Cool. Cool, it will keep this energy down. It's gonna hurt. And it hurts. But what happens, and I'm going to be quick because I know some of you have to pee. For once in this life, this body hasn't got to pee. But anyway, I know some do. What happens then? The ego claiming that negative potential you call a thought takes it in, because you have a void inside, you see. You want to suck all in, suck it all in. You want to take it all in. And as you take it in, you create a pathway. It begins with a pattern. Because you do something once, and it does something in your brain. It generates synapses and neurons firing off together, finding each other. Well, you know, you can find this in your scientific studies. And as that happens, the mind learns. It learns, it has found a way to keep you down. And as such, next time, when it wants to get you, it will present a similar situation. Oh, it can show up in a completely different decorum, completely different. But it will be the same situation. Always is the same situation. Once you're hooked, baby, you're hooked. Once you're addicted to that drug you call mind, you are hooked. And it might show up in a bottle, or it might show up in some sort of powder, it might show up in something you smoke, just to keep the metaphor of the addictions going, but it will find you again in a completely different situation, and you will be locked onto it, wanting more. Now, why would you want to do that, you might ask? We're gonna get into that later. Because it doesn't seem logical that you want to do it. That you want to be attracted to all that negative shit. That's what it is. And as such, as you take that potential and create that pattern, you create it over and over and over again. You repeat the same experience over and over and over again because society teaches you that's the way to live. To go to the same work spot over and over again, to take the same drive over and over again, to have the same experiences with the same people over and over and over again. That's what you call a relationship most of the time. It's also what you call a job. Over and over and over again. And then, in the end, what you have allowed to happen is that you have taken on those pathways and actually grafted them onto your own energy. Do you see what I'm trying to say? The mind can never do something to you that you don't allow to happen, because the mind has no energy of its own. It can only tempt you into letting it use your energy. And it actually goes even beyond that. It learns that it can trick you into you wanting it. So that in the end you will grab those potentials for yourselves and you will make it happen. You will, baby.
Can I ask you something?
You can ask me something.
If a higher self is completely got into a person,
Yes.
is the mind still has his attractions?
When the higher self gets into the body,
it's
like an
completely-
ascension, you mean?
Yeah, it's completely.
No.
Then the mind you don't have to do things you did before.
No, the mind will never try to lock onto a person that has completely ascended, because it has no possibility to enter into that person, because that person is completely filled. You see? Yes.
That was an affirmation. My thoughts,
Yes.
feelings.
So, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. I know that deep down, you already know this. But if you haven't mastered it by now, after everything that you've gone through, I think it was necessary to repeat all of this to you before we could actually get down to it. Memorize this. Write it down. Say it in your sleep. You know how it works now. It's phase 1. It's the beginning. You will learn to understand that there are 6 phases in total that you need to achieve full mastery. And that each of these phases consist of cycles that you go through. Some of you here who have been working on themselves pretty hard have been working on those first cycles of that first phase. Now, I don't want to bring this into a linear frame. That's why I'm telling you straight out that as you go higher into these phases, you can never fall back. Ever. Once you master the first phase, which is what we're going to be opening up for you in the coming 8 days in total, once you do that, you will see that you can never go back down. Ever. You might fall on your face. You might let yourself be tempted by entering into the illusion of form once again, but you will never go all the way down. Ever. And just to let you know that it's not linear, as soon as you get to phase 6, you actually enter into a infinite number of cycles, which is what happens when you master time and space. Now, some of you would say that this is not possible to achieve in several days. Not 8 days, especially not 3 days. I am here to say that you have the ability to master it in a moment. The power of a moment is infinite power. That means once you work with this, you can really screw up bad in a moment. Or you can go really high in a moment. That's the good news. Why is the power of a moment so everlasting? Because it touches all that is, you see. The Big Bang was just a moment. It created everything. That means that within this cocoon that you're all sitting in, called reality, called 3D, a moment grasps everything. As you were doing the Akene activation, the first part of that, and you were going higher up, you were starting from the perspective of the earth, and then you saw yourself as a point of light on the earth, and then you saw the earth as a point of light into the solar system, and then you saw the solar system as a point of light in the galaxy, and that in the universe. And then all these universes combined until you touch the brim of time and space itself, called tachyon photonic energy. That energy, all of that is there in one moment. All of it. Because one moment is all that is, you see. And then you know the power that you have with one thought. And then you know how many thoughts you have a day. And then you know how many limiting thoughts you have every day, and how much this can keep you down. No more. No more. The circle of support, which is based on sovereign energy, much like myself and the other master energies are based on sovereign energy, will remain with you all the time during the course of this course. Continuously. When you eat, when you go to bed, when you shower, when you go to the toilet, when you do whatever it is you're doing. So remember that the coming days, you are going to have the potentials around you to make the shift in just one moment. It is what was used to be called an ascension, and what today is called an inscension. You have this readily available in the moment. If you don't get out of it right now in the coming days during this Meaning of Life seminar, as you are calling it, you will benefit from the information that Adamus and Kutumi and the others are going to bring in, and from the information that is going to be presented by me in the coming 6 times that I will speak after this one. Then, in Camelot, in Avalon, Avalon, we will, as others have already said today, end the old way of existence and initiate a new way. Basically, reboot the system. Reboot the computer that has been slowing down over the years. And all of you have noticed it, how the system was getting more and more redundant. How there was things coming at you that didn't used to be there before. how things were getting more complex and difficult, much like a computer that has been running for too long, too much programs active, and finally either the virtual memory or the memory card or the hard drive would fail. Now, that is what is happening. Now, we don't want this system to fail completely. It has its merits. Much like I've always said that also in Lemuria there is something such as a king, there is something such as a president, but not the way it exists today. It's not about power over others, it's about sovereign service to others. And those who would call themselves president, and who would call themselves king, and there is more than one person that can say that about him or herself, are those that today would be known as priests. Only not a priest of a limited belief system, but one that is truly the unification of priesthood, soldier, and all of these other things that would have the potential to assist humanity. Much like a soldier used to be called a warrior, and a warrior would be someone who would dedicate her life to others so that they would stay within positive potentials. That's the start of all of this warriorship. It's the start of all of these things you call martial arts. It was all at one point meant to remind you of who you really are and how through simple movement you could guide the energy so that it would come to you in the most positive light. One of these arts of movement, because I wouldn't call them martial, one of these arts of movement in Lemurian is called Eyah Ichipa, meaning, simply put, because you can translate Lemurian into many different languages, meaning, simply put, being here now. That's all it is about. Eyah Ich, as it is right now. Chi, my life force. Pa, putting that into action, which is a long word for saying being here now. And that is what we will start the coming days with, so that you will learn how these geometric types of movement work. But I digress. Some of you must have peed their pants by now. Anyway, my beloved ones, I shall take a short break, but after this moment is over, my moment of speech is over as well. I hear that you have the opportunity to listen to, I have DVDs out now, is that correct? Insane. Anyway, you have the opportunity to listen to one of the early messages that I gave a while ago. I would stimulate you to do so, because it would be a very good repetition for the coming days. But I will not speak again until a couple of days, basically, when Kutumi and Adamus and the others are finished, and I can teach you about the 6 grand delusions. Again. Because I have already done so. Until then, I would also encourage you to look beyond the box, to look outside of what you already know. Don't just look at the universal manifest. Go beyond it. Go through all the spiritual knowledge that is available and make the synthesis of all of that within your very heart. That's all that we've ever wanted. That you would look beyond you. That you would look to everything that is around you and in the end make the synthesis. Be the center. Be here now. Now, the power of a moment, which is divine, infinite, and all-embracing. That is the definition of empowerment. Divine, infinite, and all-embracing. That is the definition of a master, a free energy human. What else could the definition be? So find your divinity within. It will lead you to an infinite field of potential and existence, and then embrace all that is around you. For you inside of you, hold the key to connecting to everything. And with these words, my beloved Imzaia, I would like to end this gathering. But we will meet again, you and I, as we always do, somewhere near a beach, or near water, or somewhere in nature, or somewhere where you least expect it, like the toilet. Just as long as there's water flushing, I'm there. And so, my beloved Imzaia, I wish you a good journey the coming days. I will be watching, guiding. Be kind to one another. Show each other that you can trust them and that they can trust you. That's what's missing on this planet. Basic trust. Because it's trust that leads to love. So give this to one another in the coming days. It's the greatest gift that you can give. And so, spoken from universal love, universal truth, universal joy, and universal freedom. This was my sovereign service to you. Be well. Be grand. Be who you have always been, always meant to be. Be the Master. Be the universe. Be God. And so it is.